Welcome back to our Wealth Planning 101 video series. My name is Victoria Santini.
And I'm Mitch Wheaton. In this video, we're continuing the conversation around transition to adulthood with the topics of credit and renting versus buying.
To lay the foundation for this conversation, we must first understand what credit is. How do you build it? And what is credit used for? How do you improve your credit? Credit, by definition, is the ability to borrow money or access goods or services with the understanding that you'll pay later. When you first think of credit, you may think of credit cards or consumer credit, but there is much more to it. In fact, credit, specifically your credit score, is composed of 5 different elements. The first one is payment history. Your payment history shows if you've paid your bills and lenders on time. Paying back your loans on time is one of the most important items to consider. Late or missed payments and defaulted credit lines can lower your credit score significantly. Number 2 is utilization. Credit utilization is your total outstanding credit balance across all credit lines. To determine your credit health, divide your total outstanding credit balance by your total credit limits. For example, if you have a credit card with a $2,000 balance and a $10,000 credit limit, your credit utilization ratio is 20%. To maintain a strong credit score, it is recommended that your ratio stays below 30%. Number 3 is history. Credit history is how long you've held each type of loan or credit account. Lenders view a longer credit history as an indicator of your ability to pay them back. The longer the history, the better. Number 4 is diversification. Credit diversification is having access to a variety of different types of loans with varying interest rates and timelines or terms. Different types of loans and credit, such as auto loans, student loans, mortgages, and credit cards, will help boost your score. If you only have store credit cards open, this may hurt your score. Lastly, number 5 is hard inquiries and new credit. A hard inquiry occurs when you apply for a new line of credit and a lender requests to view your credit file to determine your riskiness as a borrower. Opening several new lines of credit over a short period of time may signify financial strain to a lender and can negatively impact your score. If possible, avoid making hard inquiries or applying for a new form of credit in which a lender requests your credit report from one of the 3 different credit bureaus: Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. All 5 of these elements combine to create your credit score, which can range anywhere from 300 to 850, with 850 being the highest and best possible score. Each credit bureau defines a strong credit score differently, so we recommend referring to Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion for more information.
So why is building credit important? Essentially, building credit shows trustworthiness to a lender. This is most helpful when applying for new loans. The stronger your credit score, the easier it will be to qualify for new loans. In addition, strong credit may allow you to qualify for lower interest rates, which can help you save a significant amount of money over the term of a loan. The amount of money you borrow is called your principal, but the cost of borrowing money is the interest, which is determined by the interest rate. The stronger your credit score, the more likely you are to qualify for lower interest rates, which ultimately will lead to less interest paid. Strong credit may also come in handy in certain circumstances that aren't directly connected to accessing loans. Your credit may be reviewed while applying for a new job or renting a new apartment. We've found these factors to be especially important for building and maintaining strong credit during the transition to adulthood.
When discussing credit management, considering credit card and loan payments as mandatory expenses is usually the best practice. We recommend budgeting enough money to pay the total balance on credit cards every month to avoid accruing interest on the unpaid balance, and be sure to make a full payment towards your loan. As a reminder, payment history is a credit score element, so a missed payment can negatively affect your credit score while also generating additional interest owed. One of the most common forms of credit, especially at a young age, is through credit cards. When using a credit card to handle monthly or one-off expenses, it is important to understand the difference between the minimum payment and statement balance listed on a monthly statement. The minimum payment is the lowest payment amount required to keep your account in good standing and avoid a missed payment. However, only paying the minimum payment allows interest to build up on the unpaid credit balance. Only making the minimum payment will not pay off the entire credit card balance. The statement balance is the full amount of credit that was issued during the statement period. It is recommended that the statement balance is paid in full each month to avoid interest, often at very high rates, building on any unpaid or carried balance. When consistently using a credit card, tracking expenses ensures that you are spending within your means and you will be able to pay off the full statement balance each month.
In addition to credit management, it is also important to consider ways you can protect your credit, such as by reviewing your credit reports and freezing your credit. Each credit bureau allows you to request one free credit report each year. It's best practice to review your credit reports annually, or more often if you suspect any fraudulent activity. Credit reports list information such as credit history, current credit lines open, closed accounts, and payment history. If you notice errors or suspicious activity, report them to the credit bureaus for correction to avoid adverse effects to your credit score. Freezing is another method to protect your credit. Freezing your credit makes it difficult for anyone, including yourself, to open new lines of credit in your name. For full protection, make sure to freeze your credit with each credit bureau by opening accounts with Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. Each bureau has an area dedicated to freezing your credit with the click of a button. Once your credit is frozen, you'll need to thaw or unfreeze your credit whenever someone needs to make hard inquiry on your credit history, such as applying for a new credit card, auto loan, mortgage, applying for a new job, moving into a new apartment, or even shopping for new insurance like auto insurance. Thawing your credit can typically be done either permanently or temporarily. Thawing permanently requires you to manually refreeze your credit to remain protected. Thawing temporarily opens your credit history for hard inquiries for a certain period of time. Typically, you can specify how long you would like to thaw your credit, a day, week, or longer.
Now that we know what makes up a credit score, where to check it, and ways to protect and manage it, you may be asking yourself, how do I get started? Great question. You could become an authorized user on a parent's credit card, assuming your parents have good credit management. You could open your own student credit card or regular credit card online, or simply have different types of loans in your name, like student loans, auto loans, and credit cards. As a reminder, diversification is a credit score element, so different types of loans will help boost your score. Regardless of which route you choose to get started, remember to make timely payments while keeping a relatively low balance. Once you've built credit, you can start applying for other larger loans like a mortgage or an auto loan, which leads us to the next part of our discussion, renting versus buying. Before applying for a mortgage or auto loan, it's important to consider the following items: budget, timeline, and goals. There are numerous costs associated with buying a home, including the down payment, earnest money, closing costs, realtor costs, property taxes, insurance, utilities, and furnishings. The costs associated with buying a car include annual tag renewals, gas expenses, insurance, ad valorem taxes, and maintenance expenses. Before committing to a loan, you have to assess your monthly budget to ensure a fixed monthly payment is doable. As our rule of thumb, 50% of monthly income should be used for dedicated expenses, or the expenses you have to make each month. 20% should go towards savings, and 30% should be used for discretionary spending. If your dedicated expenses exceed 50% without an additional monthly mortgage or auto payment, you may consider extending your timeline and increasing your savings to afford the purchase down the road.
When considering home ownership, it's important to review the costs and benefits of renting versus buying a home. Renting is super beneficial when considering the flexibility of being able to move almost whenever you would like, depending on the terms of your lease. It may be more beneficial to rent if you anticipate living in a certain area for a shorter period of time, for instance, 2 years or less. The shorter timeline favors renting because owning a property may also require you to sell the property whenever you would like to move, which can take time and money. Another major benefit of renting is that you typically are not responsible for covering any repair or maintenance costs for the property. Repairs are often unexpected and can increase the overall cost of owning a home. Renting allows you to avoid these unexpected expenses. The downsides of renting include the lack of ownership, having less freedom to customize the property, and being at the mercy of the landlord. The lack of ownership means you are unable to build equity or own value in the property. Your monthly rent payments are pure expenses. Renting typically is more restrictive on your ability to make changes to the property. For example, updating the kitchen or updating large appliances. Lastly, since you do not own the property, the landlord may increase your rent or even sell the property at the end of your lease term, forcing you to move at an undesired time. Now, let's consider some of the benefits of purchasing a property. One of the most important benefits of buying a property is that it allows you to build equity. Equity is the value in your home that you own outright. Building equity may allow you to benefit from appreciation in the value of the property, potentially selling it at a higher price than you paid for the property. Building equity in your home may be considered an alternate form of savings. However, it's important to remember that buying a home is an investment, and like any other investment, there is always a risk that the value of your home may fall instead of rise. Owning your property also allows you the freedom to make renovations whenever and wherever you would like, personalizing your space. Owning a property also has its downsides. For instance, buying a home can restrict your flexibility to move. Owning a home requires additional cost and effort to move out. Hiring a real estate agent, listing the home, finding a buyer, negotiating terms of a deal, etc. The initial purchase may also require upfront costs like a large down payment, closing costs, and additional fees. On top of upfront costs, owning a property can lead to higher variable monthly expenses due to unexpected maintenance costs, increasing insurance premiums, and property taxes. All things considered, buying a home will most likely be more expensive than renting.
Regarding auto loans, the same principles apply. You want to make sure a monthly payment and ancillary expenses fall within your budget. You should also assess your transportation options. Are you in a city where public transportation is offered? Is the surrounding neighborhood walkable? Do you have access to rideshare options? If so, you may leverage those options first before committing to a car purchase.
Thank you for joining this session of our Wealth Planning 101 video series. We hope this discussion helped clarify some of the mysteries of credit and renting versus buying.
Thanks for tuning in. We look forward to sharing more tips and information with you. Take care and enjoy the journey towards your net worth while.